Hey guys, what's going on? My walkaway story, man. I walked so far. I walked to the country in a rainstorm to get away from the Democratic Party. I walked far. I walked hard. Anyway, so holy fuck, there's a big spider. Oh my god, there are two of them. Okay, this is what happens when you go to the country. I'm such a city girl. Anyway, okay, I'm bigger than them. And they are me, but I just didn't expect. Okay, I'm gonna stay here. Okay. All right. Anyway, I actually walked away a long time ago. I walked away before it was cool to walk away, if you get my drift. So again, I kind of reiterate this every once in a while. For those who don't know, this channel was started by me and my best friends. We had a podcast that we started in 2011, and as a result of the podcast, we also had a YouTube channel and a Facebook page and all that stuff. But I didn't really put any effort into growing it until this year. We put up a video every once in a while, but neither of us were really consistent. Wow, there are ants just crawling up the tripod and stuff. Okay, so anyway, I'm such a city girl. I'm working through my insect trauma. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent. So we started this. We started a podcast as a result of her son being diagnosed with autism. Like, I saw this happen. He got diagnosed. He got his vaccines. He was completely normal before then, and now he flaps like this. He doesn't talk, and he's nonverbal. And when this happened, I was like, this is totally wrong. You should go and sue the pharmaceutical companies, or you should sue the doctor, you know, for whatever. And then she's like, yeah, I'm gonna look into that. She comes back and she's like, I can't sue the pharmaceutical industry. I'm like, what? How can you not sue the pharmaceutical industry? So for those who don't know, there was a law in 1986 that Reagan signed that prevents the common person from suing pharmaceutical companies. There's a case, WYETH versus BRUSSELWITZ. I think it was like in the 1970s. Anyway, long story short, the people can't sue the pharmaceutical industries. You can get money through a kangaroo vaccine court, which is paid for by you, the taxpayer. 75 cents per vaccine that you receive goes into this fund. And it's really hard to win. There's no trial, no jury. It's basically like they call it mediation or meditation. You have to get a doctor to vouch for you, which either a lot of doctors are scared to do, or they're just in denial themselves because they've been so hardcore brainwashed to think that vaccines are like God's gift to earth, that they don't even want to look and consider the possibility that they could be dangerous, even if it is to some people. So we're finding out all this information, and as she's sending me stuff, I'm researching, and I was like, well, let me put you in touch with my cousin, who also is autistic. Had lost touch with my cousin, find out the same exact thing happened to her. Came across a friend. We both befriended a girl who was paralyzed by the Gadafi vaccine. So as we're going into forums, as we're reading, you know, you can read stuff on PubMed, which is a public place where you can read studies. You look at doctor lectures. Come to find out, there's a lot of doctors and a lot of scientists who are speaking out against, you know, or talking about the dangers of vaccines, where we noticed that the mainstream media was simply just not showing this. So we're posting this information on our, you know, social media and our walls, and our train of thought at the time was just like, oh wow, like, people should know this. We'll just post it on our wall and they'll find out. Not knowing the resistance that we were going to be met with, not knowing that we were going to be exiled and we were going to be unfriended and, you know, ostracized. You know, we thought we were just doing the right thing by letting people know stuff that isn't common knowledge. So right then and there was our kind of our wake-up call, because we knew that the media was corrupt, that they weren't telling people the whole truth when it came to vaccines, at least that. So this rabbit hole starts here, and it just gets deeper and deeper and deeper, because the further down the rabbit hole you go, you realize that you're lied to about everything. So some people find out because they're researching GMOs, they're researching politics, they're researching a lot of other things, and all kind of holes, no matter where you enter, lead to the same demon or the same source, which is the globalists, the elite, trying to control everything and keeping common folk in, you know, in a place where they don't have knowledge and they feel helpless. So with that said, we learned about like the left-right paradigm, and by that time, you know, I had I voted for Obama the first 4 years, but the second 4 years I didn't, because I started figuring out that the media was lying about him too, and that was really hard for me because I couldn't really accept the fact that Obama didn't really have our interest in mind. I think though I think that Obama needed to become president in order for me to understand that this is not what needed to happen, because when I voted for Obama the first time, I really thought, my train of thought, now I'm like, I realize how ridiculous it is, those spiders are so big. My train of thought was, oh, he's a black man, he was a community organizer, he'll have more empathy, he'll understand what the black community needs and what black people needs. And it was so ridiculous now that I think about it, but that's what my train of thought was at the time, not knowing that, you know, he didn't have anybody's interest in mind really but his own and his parties or his group's, you know, interest. So I'm trying to make this short. It's really a longer story, but so just like, so the walkaway moment really started with our knowledge, mine and my best friend's knowledge of how corrupt the medical industry is. And then you can see how the formula is applied to other things, like scientists and the whole global warming myth. And then you see like, you know, how it's applied to politics and how they control people through this appeal to authority. Because what happens is too, especially in the colleges, oh, and as a teacher too, I forgot to mention, it was the medical thing and also being a teacher. I was a teacher for a while. I taught for LAUSD for 8 years, and I taught everywhere from kindergarten all the way up to high school. I moved to Taiwan for 2 years. I taught there because I thought the school system would be better. It's different, but they have their own set of problems, which is bad too. Then I came here and I taught at a Chinese prep school for almost 3 years. And issues. But I realized with my experience and understanding how stuff works, and I also saw this really cool interview, I'll put in the links with other stuff, of this lady named Charlotte ISERBYT talking about how the elites want to take over the education system. And it's a really good foundation if you guys want to understand what's going on with the college kids today and the elites and the academia. It's a really good starting point to kind of get a grasp on that. So I saw her interviews and I start putting together how they want to keep us, you know, like they want to keep us at a certain level of education. There's a John Rockefeller quote that says, "I want a nation of workers and not thinkers." And then you think about that, and these are the people who control education. You look at Bill Gates, you know, he has stake in Pearson education, and they want you to learn a certain amount of things. They want you to, like, you can even still be like, you know, go to MIT and Harvard and all this stuff, but if you're not learning other things, you're not learning to think outside the box and being entrepreneur, you're still in a box. Even if it's a highly educated box, you're still in a box. And this is what I also observed being a teacher, and also being an English teacher, which really freaked me out. A lot of the English curriculum for foreign students depend on what's being taught in America and Western countries. So if they're controlling the curriculum there for English learners that are trying to get a bigger perspective on the world, they're also mind controlling them and brainwashing them through the education materials through English. Because think about it, if you're learning another language, you're really trying to grasp the control and the command of the language. You're not even thinking about conspiracies. You're not thinking about people that don't have your best interest in mind. You know, it's all of information is controlled through all of these resources, like even stuff that's seemingly you know, benign, like National Geographic, which I still love, but I know when they're lying about stuff now. But National Geographic and Time Magazine and, you know, what are the other ones that people read? Architectural Digest and TED Talks. right? They only let people talk about certain things during TED Talks. There was a guy that, his name is Rupert Sheldrake. He had a TED Talk a few years ago and was talking about like how science is corrupt and now it's become dogmatic and like a religion where it's supposed to be a methodology and people aren't following that anymore. And you know, he's been really critical of science and the methodology and how it's now, like I said, I'm reiterating, how it's become religion. But his talk was banned, right? They don't want people questioning these things. I know I'm being general, so for Asians out there that are watching, try not to, I'm sorry, I'm not capping. I'm a Sinophile. I love Chinese stuff. I'm learning Mandarin. I love Asian culture. So I'm not dogging, but Asians have a very, generally speaking, they don't question things. They're really into groupthink. And it's in their kind of like, I know China, filial piety, where they, you know, respect their ancestors and their elders, but to the point where they don't question things. So even if their elders are wrong about something, they're not going to question anything because they don't want to seem disrespectful, or they don't want to mess with they call it like the harmony of the culture. So that's another way to like brainwash people into believing certain things. So oh sorry, getting back to walking away, the left-right paradigm, I know that you guys should look into that. So when Trump came along, I didn't vote for him. I didn't vote for Hillary for sure, because I knew about like how evil she was, her and the Clintons were. By that time, I'd done a lot of research on them and their foundation and all the crimes that they committed. So I was like, there's no way this bitch is getting my vote. And then with Trump, I didn't really know about him. I had stopped watching TV at that point, so I never seen The Apprentice. I've seen clips from it, but I knew what it was, but I never like I haven't owned a TV in over probably 15 years. But I knew about it, and I was like, whatever, left-right paradigm. They're both two wings of the same ego, which you can still argue. But after he won, I started seeing how crazy people were. I've never seen anything like this in my life. The way that they're going after him, the way that they're going after people that support him. I've always been able to have friends over that were on different ends of the political spectrum, no problem. And now it's become like this whole like tool to segregate people and turn people against each other. So my thing is too, I see, you know, I've delved a little bit deeper into psychology. I mean, the psychology of the Democratic Party, and I understand, like, you know, kind of their modus operandi now and how devious it is, how it's based on victim mentality and victimhood and getting votes from oppressed people and exploiting people and everything like that. I'm gonna just focus on the Democratic Party in this part, but the right also can be that way too. But at this point in history, I feel like it's the Democratic Party who's out of balance and who's crazy. So but my thing is, I think when people walk away and they understand this about the Democratic Party, they're walking right into the Republican Party or the other side of the spectrum, thinking that they're safe and thinking that this side isn't subject to the same corruption, and that's false. And I even see it right now with certain people, more than one person, but certain people that are being accepted on the right that have shady past, but people are just willing to look the other way because they feel that, well, they're on our side and they're sticking up for us, so it's fine. But unless you call people's corruptions on both sides, it's going to be a matter of time before the same thing happens on the right side, okay? So my thing now is what I do. I have walked away, and I used to be a Democrat, and I really didn't think about putting any thought into it, and I did it because I was black, and that's what black people do, and that's what women do, where we vote Democrat, but I'm bummed. So big surprise. So but now when I do, I look at, I'm trying to get a bigger grasp, which includes a lot of reading and going back into history and going back into and dissecting different political parties. I'm still doing it because we haven't been educated as a mass about this stuff, and we're not, I would say most people aren't, even the most educated people, they really treat politics like sports. So anyway, I'm doing that, and I'm looking now when I'm looking at candidates, and if I am going to vote for them, I'm looking at them. So many bugs out here. I'm looking at their policies and what I do. So I would suggest for people that are walking away to walk away from the Democratic Party because they're toxic. They're like the blob, you know, they're fucking toxic. But don't walk into the other side or into another party blindly and think that they're not subject to the same corruption, because it's just human nature. Human beings are subject to corruption and manipulating other people. So always keep an open mind, question the answers, as my friend Elizabeth likes to say. I gotta give her credit, because she's gonna be like, you said that in your video, you didn't have like question the answers. I love that. So I got that from her, but it's very true. Question the answers. Always keep an open mind. Be vigilant. Don't just think because you walked away and you're on the other side that you're safe, because you're not. It's always, always, always imperative that you stay vigilant. All right. So anyway, that's it. I hope that explains my voice story pretty well. But it stopped raining, and the spiders are still there. And anyway, all right, guys. Peace, truth, love. Talk to you later. Bye. Mwah.